Welcome to Season 2 of Self-Care-ish. It's selfish with care. I'm Megan, your host, and each week I spend about 20 minutes to an hour unpacking different ways to fill your cup after a divorce, or if you're on a dating or self-dating journey. Either way, enjoy and let's get into it. Well, you guys have been amazing, not just in general, but also at subscribing to the Self-Care Society newsletter. And I dropped 2 new exclusive discount codes into the last email, and I am currently working on an extra special collab with a new brand this month. So if you're already subscribed, stay tuned for that. And if you're not, well, all you need to do is head to selfcare-ish.com.au and sign up. Super easy. You get reminded about new episodes and get discounts in the process, and a little reminder to give yourself some TLC each month. Very important. But here's one for free. As you know, I have basically invested in shroomly.com.au because their lion's mane powder might have changed my life. Okay, that's a little hyperbolic. But I'm just talking about I take it in the morning, I'm more mentally alert, even at that time of the month, ladies. My mood is calmer and I just have this sense of being able to manage my stress better. So it is especially helpful if you're going through a breakup, which is the topic of today's show. It's all related. But I want to get into today's app really quickly. But if you jump onto the website and use the code selfcareishpod20, you'll get 20% off any order you make whenever you want. Easy. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so today's ep is a little teaser of something I've been working on. You can think of it as a free mini module of a much larger course. And I know when people say course, you picture some kind of grifter guru trying to upsell you into oblivion. This isn't that. It's just something I've been tinkering with in the background ever since someone DM'd me at the middle of the night and said, I was their post-divorce spirit animal. And huge thank yous to that person. I am still dining out on that compliment 12 months later. But it did get me thinking about all the little practical things I did to make the transition from married to unmarried person and make it an easier shift. And let's not beat around the bush. Breaking up is a tectonic shift in your life, but instead of causing earthquakes, it just rattles your emotional Richter scale to a point where you almost feel like you can't get up in the morning. And I mean, 1 minute you are sitting there, you're all cozy, you're comfortable, you're on this relationship couch, binge watching Netflix together, and then the next minute, boom, it can be like the remote control of your heart got lost on the couch cushions and all you're staring at is just chaotic static. It's a lot. If you're Gen Z, you will not remember static, but it is when the aerial used to get fucked up and the screen quality would turn into just a chaotic static mess. Just Google TV in the 80s and you'll know what I'm talking about. Anyway, you don't appreciate it at the time, but I'm telling you, that chaos, that rubble of your relationship is now a new foundation to build an even better, cooler, stronger you. I know everyone says that, but we're going to get into that more in a minute. And the best part about it is even though you might feel really alone and you're the only one working on this little ground zero scenario trying to put everything back together, there's actually millions/billions of people out there on the planet just like you doing the exact same thing. But what annoys me is nobody really connects those post-divorce people together apart from, Sally trying to hook up Greg from accounting with their friend Karen, who just moved out of her forever home with her ex, which I think really sucks because we could all share so much knowledge and wisdom, whether it's legal advice, co-parenting advice, and how to keep your heart squishy and malleable in the face of online dating culture. Like, someone asked me my ultimate goal with self-care-ish the other day, and honestly, I've got to be real, that's it. I would love to create a friendly, private place for divorced people to hang and build themselves back together. But that kind of thing doesn't happen overnight. And neither does becoming the new you. And no amount of fresh outfits, hair color, and overseas trips is going to do that. Annoyingly, it all starts from within. Insert cliches here, I know. So after the music break, I'm going to tell you my trick for getting over things super fast. It's not a band-aid and it takes practice, but it works. All right, so breaking up, never easy. Whether it is with a lover or a friendship that's run its course or a job you hate, it usually comes with pain. And as a human, you and I, we are naturally wired to protect ourselves from all of that stuff. One of the most insidious tricks your mind will do to protect your inner child is this. You're gonna demonize the inverted commas, the enemy. They did this to me. They hurt me. They ruined my life. They did the bad thing. And you do this because in the small lizard brain part of your head, which we all have, is you think, if they're bad, then I must be good. And it is so addictive to do that because feeling good obviously feels good. And that is what we want to feel all of the time. And a side dish to that little menu item is the desire for closure. We love seeing how a story ends or to get our justice in the form of an apology. Like that, from the beginning of time, everything has a beginning, middle, and end. That's how we're trained. But in reality, that doesn't really happen. Let's just do an experiment together, okay? Off the top of your head, can you count the amount of times someone who really did you wrong bothered to take the time to apologize properly? I'm going to go out here on a limb and say it's probably not a lot of people, and you have likely been hurt more than you've been apologized to. But here's a wild idea. What if you could be your own hero in this saga? What if you could give yourself the apology you so rightly deserve? I know it sounds like self-help meets fantasy, but hang in there because it might just be the fastest way to find closure and peace. And I honestly wanted to do this episode because I find that doing this is so helpful to practice, even for those moments when you aren't even going through a breakup or having an argument with someone. This is just a lifelong skill that you can take with you from this episode that will help you navigate any uncomfortable feelings you have with another person. From finding forgiveness for a friend who hurt you, or a family member you don't quite get along with, or even that guy that cut you off in traffic this morning. I promise you that if you put this into practice, you'll almost immediately feel clearer and like a weight is lifted off your shoulders. And it starts with a really easy technique. This one's easy. You gotta acknowledge your pain. Like let it wash over you like a tidal wave of disappointment. And not judge yourself at the same time. So a little trick that I use is I write it all down in a book. I spill the beans right onto the pages of my diary and I get super specific. I'm talking about documenting every last bit of the emotional turbulence that I am feeling about a scenario. So for example, this is literally from my diary the other day. Okay, I wrote, today I feel heavy and tired and almost restless and like I can't sleep, but I'm super overwhelmed with what I have to do today, but I just don't know how I'm going to get through everything. And I feel honestly a little bit hopeless and maybe not quite lovable. And I just don't know how to get out of this feeling. Newsflash, I went to bed early and woke up and felt better, but that's not always the case, But this process helps you get all the noxious bile out, down to the nitty-gritty, icky feelings that you have. And what this does is it puts a name on your feelings, because when they're just floating around in your head and in your heart, they can seem like this insurmountable kind of knot of countless negative thoughts that reverberates over and over in your head. And that's what brings you down. Like that's what feels heavy. But once you put them onto paper, it's almost like you start looking at them like a problem shared, and very quickly you realize that a lot of the feelings can be summed up into a single category. Like you're either feeling fear, you're either feeling anger, or you're feeling defeat. In the above example, I would say the overarching theme of everything I was feeling that day was defeat. And once you put all of that into a single category, well, then it doesn't seem so big after all. And now you're dealing with just one negative feeling as opposed to 500 different little negative thoughts. Next, I want you to understand the undeniable and all brilliant power of self-forgiveness, aka it's time to humble yourself, but with lots of love. Now, the reason self-forgiveness is such a powerful tool for healing, I mean, everybody says that, is because it is the fastest way to create empathy for others. For instance, I know that I'm not a perfect person and I have bad days and sometimes I'm low energy and sometimes I've got a million to-dos in my head and I don't give people my full attention. So this part is about giving yourself a little permission slip for your own humanity. So by doing this, you give yourself like a little break for any perceived wrongdoings you might have committed in the relationship. You could almost think of this practice as like mental spring cleaning, where you toss out all the self-critical thoughts and replace them with like a sense of understanding and acceptance for yourself. Because hey, we're all a little bit flawed, you and me, and that's what makes us all wonderfully, hilariously human. Once you've done that, then we get to the fun part. Now, this is my favorite part. It is time to play out the apology you always wanted in your head. So you could put pen to paper and write this down if you really wanted to get the waterworks started. But I've done this so much that I'm kind of at a stage now where I do it involuntarily in my head in an instant, even if someone's like cut me off in traffic. And it goes a little like this. Okay, say person cuts me off in traffic. My brain immediately goes, okay, pretend that person's talking to me right now. And they say, "Dear Black Master, I am so sorry I cut you off. I didn't mean to. I'm actually in a rush because my sister is about to give birth and she doesn't have anyone else to be there at the hospital with her and I really needed to get there fast." Like, I get really creative with it. Or my super default one, if I'm in a rush, is, "Dear Black Master, I'm really sorry I cut you off. I'm going through a divorce and small moments of assholery are just me acting out my inner turmoil." Or say you're dealing with forgiving an ex, right? Let's take it up a notch. That one might take a little more depth and more emotion. So for instance, it might be, "Dear your name, I want to apologize for the pain I caused you during our relationship. I know I hurt you deeply and I'm truly sorry for my actions and I regret not acknowledging your feelings and giving you the closure you deserved." And you just fill it in with all the specific details and potential justifications for why those things played out that way. So go deep, put yourself in their shoes, get into the minutia of it all. Like, imagine your ex is writing, "Hey, I'm sorry I made all those like small comments about your weight or something. I felt so out of control in my own life and career that creating boundaries and control around you made me feel safe, and I didn't appreciate how much my mental state was creeping into and affecting our relationship in a negative way." I'm imagining your face right now listening to this, and I know it feels so weird at first, but I promise you that after doing this exercise, there is almost no way you can hold on to a heavy, aching resentment for someone else that's dragging your emotions down. Like, you just can't. Like, it takes a little bit of practice, but once you've done it for a while, you just learn to release things so much faster. And look, I'll be honest, if you need to revel in and hold on to those moments of demonization about someone for a while, I get it. It can feel so good in the moment. It's kind of like eating a McFlurry alone in your car. But if you do it too many times, you know that you're going to end up feeling gross. So learning how to release those feelings is just a really good practice. And okay, that wraps up today's episode. But as always, jump into the selfcare-ish.com.au website or onto the website. Leave me a voicemail, or even better, guys, if you are a regular listener or even if you just discovered Self-Care-ish, Every review that you leave, either on Spotify or Apple Podcast, goes a super long way to helping to keep the show going. And finally, don't forget, subscribers to the Self-Care Society newsletter automatically go into the running to win a fixed biome wellness system. So that's a nice little bonus. All right, sending you good vibes, and I'll see you next week.